In the past 6 years, Manchester City looked unstoppable, but look at where they are now.
It's the most challenging time in City's recent history.
Disrupted because of a bold man from the Dutch league, Arne Slot.
Liverpool, 60% most likely to win the title. City, 34% chance of winning the title.
You look at Arne Slot at Liverpool, what have you made of his start to his time at Anfield?
Yeah, amazing.
Under the Dutchman, the Reds are playing even better than before.
It's quite simply stunning from Liverpool.
Pure domination. Slot is taking care of every detail and transforming the game.
We are not sitting in the room talking 20 minutes about what Chelsea can do and all these things they can do. No. We are talking about where can we hurt them.
Leading the army of red to win after win. Even pressuring the great Pep Guardiola to evolve. That is Arne Slot.
To show great resilience, great character, and all credit to the coach.
Let me show you guys how Slot is beating football in the new era of the game. Being a manager, it's like being a commander. But the only way that you can become a good commander is if you were a soldier yourself. And that is where Slot's journey begins, as a player. He started his football career at an amateur side known as VV Bergentheim, then moved to FC Zwolle, where he was able to break into the first team as a 17-year-old. Initially, he struggled both with injuries and limited playing time. Eventually though, he figured it out, becoming a goal-scoring attacking midfielder, helping Zwolle clinch promotion back to the Eredivisie after 13 years. Slot had impressed and ended up going to NAC Breda. While he did help Breda finish 4th in the Eredivisie in his first season, their best league finish since 1956, it was obvious that he was destined for a role as a manager.
Did you always have that?
I think I knew when I was quite young already that I wanted to become a coach or a manager.
His teammates said that he already started behaving like a coach in his final years as a player.
You were the one that really was the coach already then.
He wasn't the fastest or the most physical, but he excelled due to his football IQ, passing, and vision. Think about it, he was a slow, old-fashioned number 10, with the majority of his performances coming in the 2nd division of Dutch football.
As a player, there was always my lack of speed that always set the boundaries. I couldn't go higher because I simply wasn't fast enough.
But his limitations actually helped him see the team as a unit. His weaknesses were covered by his teammates like Edwin Graaf, who was willing to do the dirty work while Slot remained a more technical player. While Slot didn't have physical speed, he was quick with his decision making.
And speed of thinking was one of my qualities, I would say, as a player as well. That's why I always thought maybe I can become better as a manager than as a player.
According to The Athletic, often in the locker room, Slot would ask the manager questions. Why are we pressing this way? Why are we playing like this? How come we don't try this tactic?
You were the guy that was doing the talking. You were doing the discussions with the coach.
You see, even as a player, he had a vision for how he thought his team should play.
I always felt if one of my teammates played a certain ball, that would lead to a chance. And then I started thinking, hey, is there logic behind what I think is true?
With a career as a manager already being at the back of his mind, Slot moved on to the Cambuur club staff after he retired from playing in 2013. He initially worked as a youth coach for a year before he was promoted to becoming one of the assistant coaches. After the club was relegated from the Eredivisie in 2016, Slot became the interim head coach of the team along with Sipke Hulshoff. The two had Cambuur playing such good football and getting such excellent results that they remained as head coaches for the remainder of the season. Slot and Hulshoff helped Cambuur climb from 14th to 3rd place in the league, only narrowly missing out on promotion to the Eredivisie after losing in the playoffs. In the KNVB Cup, Cambuur reached the semi-finals for the first time in its club history, having knocked out the record winners Ajax. Even early in this stage of his managerial career, Slot showed that he had no fear, knocking out the biggest club in the Netherlands. But unfortunately, the club missed out on the final after losing on penalties. His time at Cambuur was important to his development, but Slot, he wanted to continue learning. In 2017, he left to go work for AZ Alkmaar to work as an assistant under John van den Brom. It's really a testament to Slot's eagerness and willingness to learn that he would leave Cambuur to learn from the manager that had just defeated him. Even early in his managerial career, people could see his potential. Alkmaar's technical director, Max Huybert, called Slot experienced, studious, innovative, and ambitious. So it came as no surprise that in December of 2018 it was announced that Slot would become Alkmaar's new head coach for the 2019-2020 season. Just as we have seen with his Liverpool team, Slot knows how to make an impact right away. He became the first coach to win 19 points in his first 8 Eredivisie games. They were defeating the Dutch giants like their 3-0 win over Feyenoord, 4-0 win over PSV, and a 2-0 win over Ajax. Then Slot helped Alkmaar reach the round of 32 in the Europa League. With how well he was managing, it was no surprise that bigger clubs came calling. Slot realized it was time for a move, so he ended up joining Feyenoord. Slot succeeded the experienced Dick Advocaat, who had left the club stagnant with his uninspiring football. If we assume that Feyenoord were an army, then they were a terrible army, and they needed someone like Slot to come in as the commander and help change their identity. And as we have seen time and time again, Slot knows how to make an immediate impact no matter where he goes. During his first season at Feyenoord, they reached the round of 16 in European football for the first time in 20 years. In the knockouts, they defeated Partizan, Slavia Prague, and Marseille to reach the final. Although they ended up losing in the final, Slot's impact was so noticeable. The team played with a high energy, destroying teams with an attacking style that mixed high pressing with possession. As a result, it came as no surprise that he won the Eredivisie Manager of the Year. That's just what he's done time and time again. He joins a club, succeeds the previous manager, and makes the team even better than before. He is doing the exact same thing at Liverpool. Imagine the heights this team can reach with someone like Slot in charge.
I want to create a culture and atmosphere that players like to be at this great ground.
His success with Feyenoord continued into the 2023 season, where they absolutely dominated the Eredivisie. They became league champions, the club's first league title since 2017. He was awarded the Eredivisie Manager of the Year award again, becoming just the 4th coach to win the award in consecutive years. Not only were Feyenoord winning, but Slot was showing just how good his man management is. Slot himself believes that 60% of coaching is the idea, and 40% of it is how well it's communicated. He ensured players clearly understood their role and tactics.
This is the idea I have now. How can I transmit this to my players? Make it really simple for them to understand the game in the same way as I thought I understood it.
Not only was he straightforward with the players, which they appreciated, but everything he told them came true. According to The Athletic, players were tired of having to play long balls over and over again in training before a match against Marseille. They asked Slot why they had to keep doing this, and he told them that he will explain later. Fast forward to the actual match, and Feyenoord were up 2-0 against Marseille, with both goals coming from long balls in behind their defense. Ever since that moment, well, the players had blind faith in him. Since they believed in his process, he was able to get the best out of them, promoting and developing young talents like Hartman and Mats Wiefer, who became Dutch internationals under his guidance. In fact, Wiefer was playing in the Dutch second tier before Slot seamlessly integrated him into the first team. He worked closely with the fitness teams to ensure players were physically prepared for his intense style of play, monitoring workload and easing off when necessary.
And I brought a performance coach, Ruben from Belgium, which is for me just as important as an assistant manager, because performance side is getting more and more important in football, in my opinion, as well. So
he's doing the exact same thing with his Liverpool side. How often have you seen Trent subbed out before the 90th minute? Slot uses a lot of data to make his managerial decisions, a concept that he had taken interest in early in his career. Reports even indicated that when Slot began his managerial career, data sources weren't the best, so Slot and his team built their own. But even more important than this was the fact that Slot was super adaptable. I'm not talking about just being flexible with tactics, but also being able to seamlessly transition after big players leave your team. Despite losing stars like Sinistera, Malacia, and Marco Senesi, Slot rebuilt the squad without a drop in performance, showcasing his ability to maximize the resources that he has.
Can get all, like the maximum out of the players.
He's always been someone that prioritizes the team over individual players. He cares about the army as a whole, not just individual soldiers.
I can show Mo Salah's actions or Lucio's or Cody's or all these players that can do special things. But yeah, that's what we have. But to do this, the work rate, that is what makes us hopefully different to other teams. And
you can still see it in his press conferences with Liverpool. He praises an individual player's performance, but immediately makes sure he follows it up by praising the entire team.
So of course, all the attention goes out to Mo and to Lucio, but that doesn't do justice to the other 9 and the ones that came in.
It's that exact mentality that helped Feyenoord win their 14th KNVB Cup. In just a short span of time, Slot had disrupted the hierarchy of Dutch football, outshining the big boys like PSV and Ajax despite working on a smaller budget. Pundits describe Slot as one of the greatest coaches in Feyenoord history. And of course, Liverpool had taken notice.
Some big names came before Slot, some very big names, but fans cite him as the best yet.
It made sense. Slot was an overachiever who had sparked a revolution. And I thank Liverpool for bringing this guy to the Premier League. His teams played direct football with a hunger for goals. a very similar profile to Jurgen Klopp. But unlike Klopp, Slot is described as a perfectionist, a control freak. It actually makes a lot of sense when you see how openly Slot has talked about being inspired by Pep.
And then I was lucky enough that in that period of time there was of course the Barcelona team from Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
I saw that they did 10 out of 10 times the pattern that my teammates and me did 2 out of 10 times maybe.
But while there are similarities, Slot ball is different from the heavy metal football that Liverpool fans experience under Klopp. As I said, Slot's teams love to be direct and score goals, but they also have a greater degree of control. On paper, his team operates in a 4-2-3-1, a double pivot in midfield that traditionally is McAllister next to Gravenberch. But of course, we know in the modern game, formations are very fluid. Sometimes it looks like a 4-1-4-1, sometimes it's a 4-3-3. Either way, Liverpool are far more patient in the build-up. They play more passes, take their time building out from the back. It's something that the players have even talked about when comparing the two managers.
The manager now wants to control the ball all the time. With Jurgen, sometimes we just go counter press and just try to attack them all the time in their half. But here we need to control the game. Sometimes we slow the game down, but it's part of the plan.
While Liverpool take longer to build up from the back, the structure is still very similar to Klopp's last year, with Trent inverting into the midfield at times.
Trent has been used in the past and we will use him also during this season a lot on the inside.
Slot doesn't want the fullbacks to be too wide, as he wants the gap between the players to be closer when in possession.
But the ideas of fullbacks or players playing close together is to have short passes which give limited time to the other team to defend, and you can switch play faster, of course.
Combine the way they press with more control and possession, and you can see why Slot's Liverpool have been so solid defensively. Slot ball is a direct contrast to the often chaotic football of Klopp.
Every moment they could to play the ball in behind or deep, that meant that the game was always also sometimes a bit open, especially in the last period of Jurgen. And sometimes I tell them, okay, get a better judgment in risk and rewards.
But again, don't get it confused. Liverpool are still one of the most aggressive sides in world football when it comes to attacking and scoring goals. The wingers, Salah, Luis Diaz, Gakpo, continue to score goals for fun and take defenders on. Slot has always had a love for wingers ever since his Feyenoord days. He knows exactly how to use them to their full potential.
He loves wingers. He asked his recruitment team at Feyenoord to just keep buying him wingers.
Luckily for Slot, this Liverpool team did not need an overhaul. It's not like when Klopp took over from Rodgers, where a full rebuild was necessary. Slot got a team that has arguably 4 of the best players in the league in their respective positions. Alisson is the best goalie, and Kelleher, well, he's the best backup goalie in the league. He's good enough to be the number 1, and he's showing it with Alisson having been out injured. Van Dijk is by far and away the best center back in the league, and his partner in crime, Konate, is not far behind.
The thing for us is we've got Virgil and Ibu over there.
I mean, this duo has been phenomenal. You are not getting past these two titans, both fast, both strong, both comfortable on the ball. The two of them are also a threat from set pieces on the attacking end. Then you have Trent, who's the best right back in the league. His numbers might not be as high as they were in previous seasons, but under Slot, he's been much better defensively. The full package as a fullback. Then of course you have Mohamed Salah, who isn't just the best right winger in the Premier League, he's probably flat out the best player. New manager, slightly different setup, it doesn't matter. This guy's still getting goals and assists for fun. Now while Slot had access to some incredible players, there were some soldiers that he's rejuvenated. Gravenberch, for example, was not used to his full potential under Klopp. He was great in the Europa League for a period, but between injuries and Klopp's style of football, he fell out of rotation. But under Slot, this guy's been playing like prime Hullet. It genuinely feels like Liverpool made a new signing. Any regret Liverpool fans had about not getting Zubamendi was completely forgone, as Gravenberch has dominated every single midfield he's played against. Him and McAllister are actually so essential to the way Slot wants to play. You can't have control without your double pivots being able to do a little bit of everything. They have to be both technically brilliant on the ball, but also be able to do the dirty work in the center of the park. Then Slot rejuvenated another Dutch player, Gakpo. Klopp used Gakpo everywhere, from a striker to a center mid, but the reality is that he is a left winger at heart. Slot, well, he understood this, most likely from having seen Gakpo play extensively in the Eredivisie when he was at PSV. Liverpool fans finally get to see the Gakpo that they expected to get when they signed him. It was always hard to follow after an icon, but Liverpool have found the right guy. Slot understands the values of this club. He is all about the team as a unit, embodying the you never walk alone mentality. Sure, he doesn't have the energetic and loud persona of Klopp, but he doesn't have to. He's not trying to be Klopp 2.0. he's carving his own path. His calmer style is working. He's giving the team control. Who knows how much Slot can achieve with this team, but for now, the team is moving in the right direction. Calmer, stronger, and more controlled. In fact, a lot of Liverpool's calmness comes from their captain, the Rock at the back. To see Van Dijk's incredible journey from an unknown talent to becoming the very best center back that we've ever seen in the Premier League, you have to check out this video right here.